over an hour. I'm sat in this chair, them tugging at my flesh. How much blood have you lost? And I was like, I'm honestly not sure, but quite a lot. She puts it in my face. Oh my God, I'm gonna have to do this myself. It literally looked like someone had died in that toilet. Was on this gas and air. I'm not normal. Like, and welcome back to my channel. So today I am going to be telling kind of story time, but also low-key advice video. I'm not really sure what I'm going to call it, but it's basically going to be my experience with getting the implant. Trigger warning at this point, it's not a good experience. It's a highly negative experience, so if that's not something that you want to listen to, then please click off now. I will not be offended. I'll leave a list of videos below that you can check out instead. Yeah, this video is not for the faint-hearted either. It might get a little bit not gory, but it's not going to be like airy-fairy, if that makes sense. So I want to make that very clear at the beginning. I also want to make it very clear that this is just my experience. I know people that have had good experiences with the implant, but I wanted to share my experience because I was not aware that this could even happen when I got my implant. So I just wanted to make that very clear from the outset. I'm also so out of breath because I've been running around and I'm so hot. So yeah, we're just gonna ignore that too. Put my hair behind my ears. I also got my extensions back, which I'm so happy about. But yeah, let's crack on with the video. So this story starts, I guess, when I was younger. I think I went on the contraceptive pill when I was about, I want to say 12, but it might have been a little bit later than that, maybe like 13, 14. Not for contraceptive reasons. I started my period really early. I had it was really heavy. It was really uncomfortable. It used to make me like pass out and things. It was just a really not a great experience. And so they put me on the pill to kind of regulate my periods. They were literally all over the place. So yeah, they put me on the pill to regulate my periods and to kind of settle everything down a little bit. And that was microgynon I was on. So that was probably like, what, 10 years now? 10 years ago. I was on that pretty much until I was about, well, it was literally last year, I guess. They tried to switch it to a different pill that was cheaper, and they did it a bit sneakily, to be fair. When I went back to get my prescription, they changed it and didn't tell me. They said it was well, they did tell me, but they said it was the exact same pill, but it was coated in something else, and my body just didn't have a really good reaction to it. I was super hormonal, super like on edge. I was really teary, and yeah, I went back and I was like, you said that it's the same pill, but I'm not normal. Like, I don't feel normal. And one thing that I want to make very clear is that I think it's so important to know your own body and trust your instincts with your own body too, because if I hadn't have gone back, I don't know what would have happened, because I was really not in a good way with that specific pill. So yeah, I changed that, and yeah, went back to that, and I think that was probably when I was about 16 or 17 maybe. So I'd been on microgynon for a good few years before that. Then last year, so when I was 22, I was just becoming really careless with the pill, and I was not trying to get pregnant. I'm not trying to have babies right now. So I really wanted something that was solid, that didn't rely on me remembering to take my pill, basically. And so my older sister, got the implant, and she'd had a really good experience with it. She had it in for about a year and she had no issues. I think her periods regulated, or she got no periods. I'm pretty sure she got no periods, and I was like, that sounds brilliant. I don't want any periods, and also that means that I have to remember to take the pill, so it sounds brilliant. So I booked an appointment to the clinic to get it put in, and to be honest, I didn't really get told much about it. I didn't get told side effects, potential side effects. I didn't get anything. Literally, I got it in last November, and yeah, I had no side effects, literally nothing. I didn't bleed until September this year, and so this is kind of where the story starts, because everything was fine up until September this year. I had put on a massive amount of weight, but I know that my lifestyle had changed a lot, and I was eating more. There was a lot of different not complications, but reasons as to why I put on weight. Like, in my opinion, I don't think it was the implant that made me put on weight, but I guess it's a coincidence that I put on loads of weight whilst I got the implant in, if that makes sense. So that happened September this year. I went home for my sister's birthday, and there was a couple of days when I was home, I started like bleeding a little bit. I was like, this is really weird. I've literally not bled the whole time I've been on this implant, but I kind of just put it down to being on the implant. I know that it's a side effect, sometimes it can happen. So yeah, I kind of just put that down. But then the next day it was like heavier, like heavy enough that I would have to put a tampon in. Like it wasn't just a spotting type bleeding that I could just put a little pad on. So I did that for a couple of days and then it just passed, and I didn't really think anything of it. I just thought, again, it's just a side effect. There's not really much to write home about. I didn't think it was that big a deal, so I just left it. And then what's the date now? It's November, so it was October. About 3 weeks ago now, Dan and I were lying in bed and I just got really bad like stomach cramps, and it didn't feel like period cramps. It felt lower down, like it was literally right down below, like as in just like where my pelvic bone is. I think that's where your pelvic bone is. I think that's what it's called. But it was underneath my stomach basically, and it was just so painful, and it felt like someone was squeezing and then letting go and then squeezing again. It lasted like 5 minutes. It would only really last like an hour, but maybe like 3 to 5 minutes each time. And so it was really weird. It would happen like during the night, and it gradually got worse over the course of like 4 or 5 days. I was like, on like the 4th day, I woke up and I was like, I'm gonna need to phone 111 because this pain, like it was stopping me from working. I literally couldn't do anything. I couldn't go out to walk. I couldn't go to the shop. I literally could not do anything. I couldn't even walk to the bathroom sometimes without being in so much pain that I'd have to get Dan to help me. At this point as well, sorry, I forgot to mention, at this point as well, I was bleeding really heavily. That was on like the 3rd and 4th days when I started to bleed really heavily. And so I was like, this is getting a bit out of order. So yeah, phone 111. Then I spoke to the lady on the phone and she was like, how much blood have you lost? And I was like, I'm honestly not sure, but quite a lot. And she was asked if it was enough to fill 3 cups, and I was like, or a full cup, I can't remember. And I was like, I honestly don't know, because every time I would go to the toilet, this is gonna be TMI, so if you're scared of blood, then this is maybe not for you. Every time I'd go to the toilet and turn around to flush, it was bright red. Like, it literally looked like someone had died in that toilet. I was like, what is going on? I've never seen it like this. And period blood is not bright red, so I was like, that's really weird. Like, I'm really confused. Spoken to the woman on the phone and she was like, I honestly think because you're in so much pain and because of the blood that you've lost, it doesn't really sound like period pain, and it doesn't really sound like it is period pain, so we're gonna have to send an ambulance out. And I'm petrified of hospitals, ambulances, and everything that surrounds that. So I was like, okay, cool, like I'm just trying to stay calm at this point. Dan was really good at keeping me calm because I was kind of like getting a bit flustered and getting a bit frantic. So yeah, then they arrived about half an hour later, I think, started asking me questions about the implant and da-da-da. Then they put me on gas and air for the pain. The gas and air was, I honestly, when I give birth, I swear to God, if I do not get this gas and air, that stuff was magical. Like, I literally was on this gas and air, and the whole pain of my stomach, like, it was on a scale of 1 to 10 of pain, it was like an 8 or a 9, like strong 8 or a 9. It was so painful. I was like screaming in agony. This gas and air, every single inch of pain, and I didn't have any faith in it. I was like, this is not gonna help. It might just make my head a bit dizzy, but it's not gonna help the pain. It disappeared, literally goodbye. Like, I didn't feel any pain. And so they thought the best thing to do, given all the circumstances and with my health and stuff, and then obviously with the bleeding, they just wanted to get me checked out. So they took me to hospital, but obviously with COVID and everything at the moment, Dan couldn't come in the ambulance with me, so he met me at the hospital. But when I got to the hospital, so after I got out the ambulance, they took me through to A&E, left me on the floor in A&E. So I sat on the floor because I was feeling really dizzy, and they just left me there. I was still a bit like spaced out from the gas and air, but when I came round about like 20 minutes later, because then that's when Dan arrived, he was like, did they just leave you here? And I was like, oh my God, they actually did just leave me here, and I'm literally just on the floor in A&E. And then 45 minutes later, the person came through, and she was like testing all my vitals and stuff. So my blood pressure, what else do they test when they do your vitals? Blood pressure, the blood oxygen and stuff like that. They said my blood pressure was a little bit low, but that was kind of expected. And also my blood pressure typically is a tiny little bit low, so that wasn't too concerning. And she took me through into the room and she was like, okay, so where are your notes from the paramedics? And I was like, well, the paramedics didn't give me any notes. She was like, well, they didn't leave any notes with you, the notes that they took when they were at the house or anything. And I was like, I've got no notes from paramedics. So that was a nightmare too. So I had to relay everything that I'd already relayed to the paramedics to this other nurse. And then they took me through. About half an hour later, we waited. Then they took my bloods, which was just a nightmare, and I was just in such a bad way. I was having a panic attack and it was not nice. And then I got taken through with the doctor, and the doctor was such an angel. Her name was Lottie, and she honestly was, that woman was the kindest doctor I've ever had. She was just so relaxed. Like, I was really panicked, like really like uptight, not in a good way. And she sat with me for about 15 minutes to calm me down before she even asked any questions. Like, she was just such an angel. She asked me about like what had been going on. My blood test came back. My white blood cell count was a little bit low, but again, with my ME, that's not really too out of the ordinary. What she did say is that because of the implant, it basically put me into a state of like, my body went into like an emergency state where my body was experiencing like pregnancy contractions, but I wasn't pregnant. And she was like, you haven't been pregnant either. She did like an internal cervix exam, like everything. And yeah, she was like, your body basically has just completely rejected the implant randomly. It's obviously been fine up until now, but essentially this is not for you, so we've got to get it out ASAP. So yeah, that was really not a very nice experience. And yeah, essentially my body just randomly reacted to it, decided that the implant was not for me, rejected it, and my body kind of rejected it the only way I guess it knew how to at that point. It was just a really scary experience, to be honest, and I really wanted to share it because I think when I shared it on Instagram, literally hundreds of people messaged me. The implant, getting it out was just a different story. So they couldn't even do it on the day. When I asked, can I just get it out now? Like, can you just do it now? They couldn't do it. So I had to wait another 3 days. So I went to a doctor's surgery, which is like 30 minutes from here. So it's now been like 2 weeks where I've been in pain and I've still not got this implant out. I go to the doctor's surgery and I'm petrified and also really running low on energy. I feel so lethargic. I'm just like really fed up at this point, to be honest. And Dan wasn't allowed in with me. So we went into the doctor's surgery upstairs to the waiting room, and he asked Dan, like, do you have an appointment as well? And Dan was like, no. And he was like, okay, well, you're gonna have to go wait outside, like outside the building. And I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to do this myself. But everyone who said they've got it out reassured me that it literally takes 5 minutes. So I was like, perfect, it'll be over in 5 minutes. I'll get it out, that'll be me done, end of story. That's not how my body wanted it to happen, really, is it? It's really not how I want it to happen. My body wanted me to go through the most traumatic experience in order to get this stupid implant out of my body. So I went through, and the woman took my height and weight. She did my BMI. She said my BMI was fine. Was like, okay, so what contraception are you gonna go on instead of this? Da, 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 all these questions. And then she was like, okay, can you lie down in the bed? So I was like, okay, cool. Like, I'm trying to psych myself up because I'm like, this is not fun. Like, I don't like this. I'm really scared. Dan's not here. I'm by myself. Usually when I get something like this done, I go in with my mum. My mum comes with me. I'm not going in by myself to get my bloods taken. So the fact that I had to get my bloods taken out of the hospital by myself without my mum or my sister or Dan was not a fun time. So then when I had to do this by myself, I was like, okay, I'm psyching myself out. This woman must have thought I was actually crazy because I was talking to myself, like trying to reassure myself, like out loud. I wasn't doing it in my head, I was doing it out loud. So this woman probably thought I was crackers. She sat me down, she's feeling around my arm. You can still kind of see it, I'm gonna show you. So this is where it came out. This is like the mark from the plaster. And it looks really clean now, it looks really fine. But she felt it and she was like, that's in a really weird place. She was like, where is it? And she was looking for it like under here, because that's where it's supposed to be apparently, but mine was put in here, like right next to my veins, and she was like, that's a really dangerous place for it to be. It really shouldn't have been put in there. And I was like, I don't know, I didn't put it in. Where did you get it done? And I was like, oh, I got it done in a clinic in central London, like at a hospital. And she was like, okay, that's just a bit weird that they'd put it in there. And so then we started to progress. Ooh, the sun's come out. She was like, okay, I'm gonna inject you to numb the area. And I was like, okay. And then I started to get, like, freak out. I was like hyperventilating, but like trying to keep myself calm. And she was like, are you sure you want me to do this? And I was like, yeah, I need it out ASAP. Like, just please get it out. Just ignore me. Like, I'll stay as still as possible. just ignore me. And she was like, okay, well, you're gonna have to stop crying though because you're shaking. And I was like, okay, I'm really sorry, I'm really sorry. Injected it, got rid of that feeling in my arm, so it was completely numb. And then she was like, okay, I'm gonna start taking it out now. And I was like, okay, like, I'm just gonna like relax, like I'm just gonna try and stay calm. And so she started taking it out, and I was so calm. I can't believe how calm I was. I think I was so calm because I just knew that it had to be taken out. And when I say calm, I was frantic, but I was still. And I just think I knew that it had to be taken out, and I didn't really have any other choice. Otherwise this pain would continue, and that would not be fun. I was trying to stay as still as possible. Bearing in mind, I was like, this is only gonna take 5 minutes, so it's fine. I don't have to wait that long. It's only 5 minutes, it'll be over soon. That's not how it happened. 5 minutes went past, then 10 minutes went past, then 15 minutes went past. And I was like, how much longer is it gonna take? And she was like, just 5 minutes. And I was like, okay. Another 5 minutes went past, so then we're at 25 minutes, and I'm like, how much longer is this gonna take? And she's like, just 5 minutes. And I was like, okay, cool. This whole reassuring myself is not working. It's not foolproof enough. So I was like, I'm gonna call Dan, because I know that even his voice is really, I don't know if you have anyone like this in your life, but his voice is very soothing to me. It's very relaxing. So I was like, I'm gonna call Dan, and I know he's gonna keep me really calm. He's an absolute star, kept me so calm, talked to me about Stadia, like this platform that we've been playing games on, but we hadn't got it at that point, so we were still looking into it. So he was telling me all about it and trying to keep my mind occupied, not on what was going on. Anyway, we were on the phone for about 35 minutes, and at this point, it's been just over an hour of me lying, getting someone tugging at my arm. Then the nurse goes, whilst I'm on the phone to Dan, the nurse goes, I'm just gonna go and get a couple of my colleagues. And I was like, why? Why? At this point, I've not opened my eyes in an hour because I don't want to look at it, and I don't want to see blood or anything because it's gonna freak me out. So I was like, why? Why do you need to go and get your colleagues? And she's like, everything's fine, don't worry, I just need to go and get my colleagues. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, Dan, just keep talking to me, keep talking to me. I don't want to know what's going on, I don't want to hear it, I don't want to see it, so let's just keep myself distracted. They come back, so I just got my colleague to help me. It's just like a bit stuck. And I was like, stuck? It's stuck in my arm, good. Perfect, it's stuck in my arm. It's stuck in my arm, so that's perfect, that's exactly what I wanted. Over an hour, I'm sat in this chair, them tugging at my flesh, like, at this point I can feel there's blood everywhere because I can feel it dripping down my arm, and like the place which is obviously not numb, I can feel the drip. So I'm like, brilliant, and it's actually giving me goosebumps talking about it because it's actually gross. So another 20 minutes goes by, and that nurse finally gets it out my arm, and do you know what she does? Guess what she does? She puts it in my face. She's like, look, Lucy, open your eyes, it's out. And I was like, in what world is that just something normal that you do to someone who's clearly like freaking out? Why would you put that in their face? It was just, I was honestly completely traumatized. Like, for the rest of the day, I just kept crying. But honestly, I need to tell you this part because I feel like this is the most wholesome part of the whole experience, and genuinely it just completely made my day and restored my faith. Because people that whole day, you know, when you just get a series of people who you just feel like they're just a little bit idiotic, like, that just didn't make sense to me. She shoved it in my face. I was like, I'm clearly traumatized already. Why are you shoving my implant that you just hauled out of my arm in my face? Bit weird. But we went outside, and I was like crying, like having a panic attack. Like, literally, it was horrible. I was shaking, and we were just waiting for our Uber because I just wanted to go home. I was like, take me home, please. Like, but this woman with a little baby came up to me, and she gave me a packet of tissues, and she was like, I'm really sorry, I hope you're okay. She didn't know what happened to me. I literally never seen this woman before in my whole life, and I was like, you're such an angel. Like, you know, when you just needed someone to do something nice, that made my day a lot better. But yeah, the whole experience completely traumatized me. Being completely conscious whilst you know someone is tugging at your open flesh, it's not the one. It's really not the one. So yeah, that's my experience with the implant. Not a fun experience, not a cute experience, but I've been given the pill now and I am much happier. My skin is clearing up so so much. I can't even tell you how much better my skin is now that I've been taking off that implant. My skin, the acne that I had when I was on that implant is ridiculous. It was sore, it was lumpy, it was under the skin, it hurt, and it was all over my face as well. It wasn't just in one place. So I'm so glad I'm off that. I've been off it now for about, my energy's coming back. Everything is just better now that that demon thing is at my arm. So yeah, that is my implant story. If you want to hear anything else about any story times, contraception, anything like that, please do let me know down in the comments. If you have any questions about my experience, again, please let me know. Ask them down in the comments. I'll be replying literally as soon as this video goes up. So if you have any questions, let me know. If you like this video, please make sure you give it a thumbs up. If you think it could be helpful to someone, then make sure you share it with them. Give them a little warning first. I know I did a warning at the start of this video, but I don't want to be upsetting anyone with this video. So yeah, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.